Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. They say that these two things, when you do them, will move your life forward. And I'm going to jump right into it. It's the F and G, the F and G. Now, I can say that because I'm talking about the G being gratitude. So we're going to put that over to the side for a moment. The F is forgiveness. It's been said that when you forgive somebody, not condone what they did, but just forgive them, your life will move forward in a very positive direction. Even forgiving yourself, easier said than done. We're going to dig into that today and find out how we can actually do that, maybe a little bit easier. She offers spiritual, personal, relationship, business coaching, hypnotherapy, energy work, so many different modalities to help your life move forward. And this is definitely one of them as we talk with Dr. Joanne White today. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me, Steve. How you doing?
Good, good to have you back here. And this one is a struggle for a lot of us on the forgiveness
Yes,
thing, right?
including you and me.
For sure,
Yes,
for sure.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Why is it so hard?
Well, firstly, we can feel very hurt from something that happened, even if it happened when we were kids, if it happened with a friend, a partner, what a parent, whatever it is. And oftentimes it's very difficult to let that go. The anger, the resentment really creeps up, and it can really devastate us in so many ways and prolong itself so that it could be, if something happened in your childhood, even though you're in your 20s or 30s or 40s or whatever, it's still affecting you. It's affecting how you behave. It could
Hmm.
be affecting how you treat other people, how you treat yourself. And it can really get in the way. Years ago, I was thinking about this, and as I was preparing, I was doing a lecture and we were talking about forgiveness. And this woman stood up. She was really totally angry. She said that something happened to her when she was younger and she would never forgive and she couldn't forgive. And it was horrible. And it
Hmm.
was the anger, Steve, was explosive. And I thought about it. And basically, it doesn't help us. That doesn't mean, when you forgive, including yourself, but when you're forgiving someone else, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to jump right back into a relationship or decide that the person didn't do anything wrong. It's really, as you said, it helps us. It helps us feel free.
Hmm.
It helps us come to a place of peace. I was thinking about that young woman who was so hurt and so angry. It like controlled her life. And when we allow that to happen, it's like the power is taking over rather than we decide what's going to be in our lives and whatever. So what's important is that, again, if somebody wronged you, you have a choice. You may want to forgive them by speaking to them. You may decide that you really don't want to have anything more to do with them, but you need to still do forgiveness.
Hmm.
There have been many reasons why to forgive. One is that sense of peace. The other one is taking back your power. It can help create better mental health and emotional health. It can, as you brought in, gratitude. It can help us feel grateful and also
Ah,
help us focus on the present. When we are so involved in what happened to us days ago, months ago, years ago, we're not focusing on some of the beautiful aspects of today, the friendships you have, the love you have, whatever it is. And that's important so that we really stay in the present and take care of ourselves. And in one of the books that I'm kind of one of the authors, I was revealing something about my own experience with a friend of mine that I had a really difficult time to forgive and trust, because when somebody hurts you, the trust level, how do you trust this person again?
sure.
But when I was writing my chapter on grace and gratitude, I realized that, if I'm writing something about this, I really have to own it a little bit and take charge of those feelings. And I reached out to that friend, and initially I said, I'm not sure that I can trust you again, but I need to forgive you for you and for me. And what happened was that it really renewed and strengthened that relationship, Steve, in a wonderful way. And we're still friends today. And the importance is, like, again, you don't necessarily have to forgive the person to the extent that it restores the relationship. That's your choice. But to forgive, think about it. It's not for the other person. It's for us. It's for you. And it makes your life better, more complete, more open and beautiful. And that's so important. Sorry, I'm running on here today. Too much coffee.
Not at all. Not at all. And you said some things that sparked thoughts in me, and I'm sure with others, in that if you're not forgiving, you're not living in the moment because you're thinking about the past, and we shouldn't be doing that.
And it gets in our way. It
It
really,
gets in
it
our way.
interferes with again, it can also affect your relationships. If you're not trusting because of something that happened in the past, you may still be holding that in terms of not trusting other people in your life, or not really willing to give of yourself in a beautiful way that you can in different relationships. And that's really important.
Hmm. And also the gratitude aspect. I didn't even think we would get to gratitude today,
Well, you mentioned it, so hey,
and
but
and you did address it in terms of while we're sitting there wallowing in our anger where we can't forgive somebody, we're not thinking about the gratitude. What do you have to be grateful for? You're wasting this energy and this thought on somebody and something they did. They already moved on. They don't really care. That's
Right.
you're
And
bringing it on.
actually, actually, some people may care. Okay. Some people
Hey,
may feel badly about what they did. That doesn't mean that they're going to reach out and apologize,
right.
but they may be going through all of that. Now, what's also interesting is we make mistakes. We may have wronged somebody. We may have done something that we really don't like, that doesn't really represent our values and who we are. We have to forgive ourselves. When I coach and
Hmm.
counsel people, sometimes I hear that there one or two people are really angry with themselves. Well, okay. It's the same kind of thing. You have to be able to get past it and move forward. Somebody I was talking to about a week or so ago, she said, I have so much guilt. I'm just covered in guilt. I said, well, but how is it serving you? Well, I don't know how it's serving me, but I just can't let it go. I said, but it's really important to let it go. It's not help. It doesn't change what you did. If we could go back and shift it, but it's not going to do that. But what it does do is it creates such a sense of freedom and peace within yourself. So we did some work with that, and she said, I feel so much lighter. Um,
Hmm.
and that's because she was willing and ready to let go of the guilt and the anger that she had toward herself. And so oftentimes we're walking around not even realizing that about ourselves, that we're holding on to it. And how is it serving you? It's not changing it. It's not helping you to move forward. We can grow from forgiving ourselves, from forgiving others. And it opens up so many more opportunities to be, like you said, and I said, be in the present and do other kinds of things and relate to other people and trust yourself. Trust other people again, which is really important. When somebody hurts you, oftentimes that trust is gone. Now, with my friend, it took some time to really begin to trust my friend again and realize that I'm not going to get hurt. And what's interesting is that my friend also felt badly. And when we had that conversation, my friend revealed that it was disturbing because again, he couldn't take it back, but he was feeling that and didn't know what to do with it. So the healing process was for both of us. But what's important, and I'm keeping emphasizing this for a reason, is that oftentimes if something happened years ago and it was somebody that really devastated you in certain ways, you don't have to reconcile. That's not the point of it. It's
Right.
for yourself. And that's key. Free yourself, feel good about yourself, be in the present, and take time. It's also a process. It doesn't happen overnight. People will say, oh, just forgive. Well, no, it's not that easy. And you and I both know that. It's not that easy. It takes time. Give yourself the time that you need. Think about why it's important to forgive that person or forgive yourself. Think about the benefits of it for yourself and look back and see how not forgiving someone or yourself is affecting you. How is it making you bitter? Is it making you lacking trust? Is it making you angry? Is it making you not enjoy the moments or opportunities to be with other people? And that's really important. So the process takes time, and we're entitled to take the time that we need.
Like you said, I experienced the breach of trust in a friend situation. It's a couple of years ago. And I didn't know how that was going to go. The confrontation was made, and I wondered if we would continue to be friends. This person, very close friend, rectified the situation, fixed what they did. Took a couple of weeks, but they did it. And I have to say, after decades, many, 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 um, our relationship is as good, if not better, than it was. It was almost like a reset button. There was some tense moments there.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
how could you? Why would you? Um, I want to, yeah, we're talking about relationships here and forgiveness. Do you feel that there may be some times, and relationships take two, where somebody can't forgive the other person, and that person may have done horrible things, and
Right,
and
right,
even on the scale of who did what, it could be like 80 to 20 in terms of severity and
right,
horribleness and all that.
right,
But
right.
do you think that sometimes we have challenges to forgive because deep down inside we really have something to forgive within ourselves? I'm not, yeah, you probably had a role in the situation. There was a connection there. And I'm factoring out anything abusive, okay, or a
Right.
crime committed.
Right.
But in a relationship, a partnership, if you will, do you think that sometimes there is an inner
Yeah.
guilt and we don't even realize it because we're just pointing the finger at the other person?
But that's why it's a process because you've got to look at your role in it as well, like you
Sure.
said. So did I say something to offend that person? Was I being sarcastic? Was I making fun? What did I do?
Whatever. Yeah.
Did I do anything that actually brought that out in my friend, in my partner, or whatever it is? And that's part of the process too, because you have to examine your role, what you did or did not do affected that too, and made that person say or do whatever he or she did. And that's important. The same thing goes for yourself. I mean, okay, so maybe you did something, you were upset or angry, something happened, and you did something, and it was not something that you really felt good about. So think about how that happened, where that came from, what led you to do that, what was going on. And when you do that, when you really kind of look at each situation in that regard, it's really important. Now, there are horrific situations, like you said, where you don't want to forgive that person. You can't, how could that person have done that? How could he or she have cheated on me? How could they have abused me sexually, physically? But again, you don't have to befriend that person. You don't have to ever speak to that person again. Forgiveness isn't necessarily confronting the person. Forgiveness is in your heart, is in within you. But it's so important because it lets you leave the past behind. It lets you be able to live more comfortably with yourself because I keep going back to that woman, the anger, the hatred, the she said, I will never forgive him. I can't ever. And it was like the venom was spreading in the
Mm,
whole room to everybody. And it was really kind of shocking. But again, it made me pause and think because we have to be able to do that to be feel better. And it grows us. It helps us be move forward in such beautiful ways that we never would have thought of. Think about what it's doing to you,
I know, right?
right? How much time, how much it's entering your thoughts, your waking state, your it
Blocking everything. Let's say it's an old relationship and ship has sailed, but you're not seeing a new relationship or even the possibility
allowing
there
it, right?
because energetically you're probably still stuck to that over there. And, I even look at people. There was a story last year where a drunk driver plowed into a family and took the life of a young boy. I think he was maybe 7. And shortly, very shortly thereafter, the mother said, I forgive the man who did this. And what they did was donate the son's organs to a donor program so others could live on.
Beautiful. There was
Yeah.
another experience that I actually wrote about in that chapter. This woman, can't remember her name right now. Her daughter was killed by some man and she was so and he went to prison, but she was so consumed with anger, with hatred, with animosity, with her loss of her daughter. She had no peace. And she kind of stayed away from her relatives. She removed herself from other people. She was in isolation, but she was so involved in the hatred and the anger and the resentment and the tears and the she had no rest. She
Mm,
finally decided, Steve, that it was time to forgive him. Now again, she didn't condone what he did. He took her daughter's life, but it gave her, and she actually was interviewed. It gave her a sense of peace again, so she was able to move on. And
mm.
people say, how could you forgive somebody that hurt that boy? Then how could you forgive somebody that killed your daughter? How could you stay in such a horrific state yourself where your mind is constantly battling with you and looking at the past and creating so much anger and hatred, and that's going out into the world? So you have to be able to find a way,
Yeah.
even if it takes time.
Not to minimize anybody's pain, not to minimize the challenge of forgiveness. Completely understand it. However, when you look at all the reasons that you mentioned, even if you take away the freedom aspect of it and just the release, but what it is doing to us psychologically, what it's doing to us physically, you don't even realize it when you're living in that state. What are some hacks, tips, techniques to do that? I've often heard write the person a letter.
You can write a letter, and again, you don't have to send it to them. You can
Right.
burn it. You can keep a journal of, again, your behavior, what you saw. You can kind of meditate or just focus on the healing process of it. You could talk to a professional, like I said, that person that was filled with so much self anger and
Sure.
guilt. So, but you have to find a way. You have to be able to decide it's time. And it may not be a moment. It may take some time. Even if you write that letter, you don't necessarily have to send that letter, but maybe burn it. And it's about, again, looking at the process, looking at what you need to do, what helps you feel better, even if it's, again, it may be talking to that person like I did. It
Hmm.
may be like you had that conversation, with that friend. It may be deciding to forgive that person and send that letter, whatever it is. But you have to find ways to heal yourself and come out of it feeling better, feeling more complete, feeling whole, and feeling that you're able to go on without all of that baggage. It's interesting because we're holding on to it. That person, like you said, may have long forgotten it, but we are the ones that are victimizing ourselves at this point, holding on to the anger, the hatred, the resentment, and the how could he, how could she? And we need that peace. We really do.
I've heard that the symbolism of writing the letter and burning it is very effective. And
Yeah.
there's also, I don't know how to say it. I haven't looked deeper into it, but it keeps coming up time to time. It's a Hawaiian forgiveness ritual, Ho'oponopono something,
Right, right, right.
which I hear also is very impactful to kind of release and let it all go. But to your point, it all comes back to what are you giving? This person already took from you. They already did things to tarnish your soul in many regards. Yes, could be
I,
horrible.
right. I was talking to somebody else recently, and that person was describing the horrific actions of his partner. And I said, and the anger. And I said, you know what? That's done. The partner is gone. The divorce is finalized. I said, but you're giving away your power.
Yeah.
Right now, that person has all the power over you because you
They're
can't let it
winning.
go.
They're
Exactly.
winning.
That's
I'm
what I
glad you said
said.
that.
And that made that person pause a minute because he didn't want that person to win anymore. That she already won in many ways in terms of the divorce and everything that was worked out legally. But this was like, wait, oh yeah, no, no more.
Right. Yeah. Stops now. When you think of it that way, like I don't even want to give them a thought, let alone my power, my feelings, my emotions, all of that. Again, easier said than done, but so important. And we've described different ways to get that done. And certainly, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, Joanne, you could walk that journey with them.
Okay, so I have a website, drjoannewhite.com. You could email me. I also give a free strategy session to people who ask for it on my website, or just call me because I'm always ready to serve and to help people. It makes me feel good to make other people feel good, and that's important. It really
Yeah, no,
is.
I appreciate that, and I love you for it. And by the way, you walk the walk and talk the talk. You gave examples of why we need to do this in your own personal life. By the way, website DR, as in doctor, DRJOANNE White, spelled as it sounds.com. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, Steve, and you are a beautiful soul, so I'm very pleased to.
You know what? Whatever I got, it's because of people like you that showed up when I needed them and to understand all this. And yes, it's a journey. There's people in my life I haven't fully forgiven. I'm going to be honest, but I'm probably about 90% there.
Okay, again, it's the process,
It's
and
the
you're moving
process.
forward, and that's all you can
Yeah.
do. So
Thanks.
that's
We'll catch
cool.
up next time. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Take care. Bye
We'll be
bye.
right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.